Hi, everyone.
I just said a bad word.
She did, and I edited her in my head.
Beep.
Anyway, we're talking about books tonight.
Books.
I love books. Like, seriously. Like, I really love books.
I'm an indoor cat who likes books, too.
All kinds of books, too. Not just quilt books. I mean, I just like books as a general subject. That's why Belle's my favorite princess. Just saying.
Princess Leia's my favorite princess.
Is it the brass bikini?
No, she just kicks butt.
She does. She does. I agree.
I mean, who among us hasn't accidentally made out with our brother?
Ooh.
I don't have a brother. Haha. Not me.
I don't either. I don't have a brother.
Kansas in the house.
Kansas. Hey. Very cool. All right.
Let me turn that.
Oh, yeah, because it helps if I can see it. That would be all cool. So, what have you been up to? She's been working hard.
Every time I start a meeting for my day job, it's just like, oh my gosh.
She's been working hard.
Yesterday.
Yes.
So I work in marketing in corporate America. Yesterday, I had a meeting where we argued about colors.
I told her she's gone back to kindergarten.
Today, we had a meeting where we argued about shapes. Circles versus squares. So it's going great.
So they ended up with a marquee diamond, right?
We ended up with a square on point.
Which is a marquee diamond?
It's a square on point.
Well, you said it was more elongated,
no,
though.
It's actually a square.
More elongated.
No.
All right.
You don't know my life.
I don't. And
I mean, you do. Everyone on the internet now knows it, too.
I'm kind of glad I missed the argument about shapes. I think.
And I was doing it from a car dealership because I had to get service done on my car. Right. And so I was like, well, let me move to a different area from all the other people in the waiting room and like the C-SPAN coverage of the vote. And I was like, so that's loud. People are there listening. I'm like, let me go sit by the foosball table.
There you go. That's always
so
good.
I'm sitting there discussing shapes.
People are,
and some other woman comes up and sits down, like filling out paperwork. I hope she was buying a car and it's delighting her. But I was like, now she's listening to me talk about squares and circles. So,
well, you know, that's kind of what we do in quilting. We talk about squares a lot, blocks,
triangles,
shapes, triangles. Yeah.
You and I had a shape discussion as well.
What did we have a shape?
We were talking about. So we're in the middle of two different kind of block programs.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so our first one really only uses 5 fabrics. So I needed like 5 patterns to represent that. Because to me, I don't want people to have to print stuff out in color for it to make sense. So I did like black and white patterns, like a checkerboard is fabric 1 and
stripes,
dots are fabric 2 and stripes are fabric 3. And then the second one we're doing has like 10 fabrics. And I was like,
Because I made it tough on her. I was like, we need 10 fabrics.
Half of them are green.
And listen, no. 3 are green. 3. And I just got the last green in today, so I can start making it.
So anyway, we started naming like patterns.
It's like chevrons, dots with circles around them, crosshatches. You could do triangles. One with question marks.
Oh, that'd be cute. Yeah. That would be like the Joker suit from Batman.
There you go. It works. Like that's a pattern you recognize. So
thank you, Teresa. I try to be thoughtful. It does make my retinas burn a little bit though when I look at like the block layout with all these crazy patterns in it instead of colors. I'm like, ugh.
It's true. It looks kind of crazy, but it makes sense when you see it.
Yeah, and then there's always like a fabric key of like checkerboard is always this fabric, and here's the fabric we used on the video portion of it. So.
Right.
We'll see. So I don't know what all this Go Eagles stuff is, but
Go Eagles.
Y'all are cute.
Oh, there's a football game tonight, maybe.
Okay.
And Philadelphia's playing. Am I right?
One assumes, but we've got New Mexico, we've got Australia.
All right. California.
Arkansas. Or as a child, as I said, at Arkansas.
You know, that's
because you don't know nothing as a child.
It's an old stupid joke. You know, that's the only state in the Bible is Arkansas. Because Noah looked out of the ark and saw. I know, it's bad. It's a dad joke. It's totally a dad joke.
Yes. I'm a hoot. You're nothing. Thank you, Margot.
I'm nothing.
She didn't mention you. She loves watching us, but I'm a hoot.
You are a hoot. That's true.
I haven't made a lot of quilts with overly caffeinated owls in them.
Yeah, you showed one last night at Guild. So we had Guild meeting last night. It was very fun. And we had a lecture from Karen Stone, who is
She doesn't have
fabulous.
a bone in her body capable of lecturing anyone.
No, that's true.
She is just super nice and like, can't we all
That's
just be
true.
happy and make nice quilts?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
I'm in.
That's true. I love her stuff. I've been fangirling Karen Stone for probably 15 years. I love her stuff. Love her stuff. Anyway,
Okay.
so if you don't know who she is, look up Karen Stone quilts and just drool because. So I had a 2-day class with her yesterday and the day before, and then we have a class with her tomorrow.
Yes.
So we'll give you an update on how that goes. You know, Pam and I get to take maybe one class a month together, which is always fun. Lynn isn't nothing. See, they like me.
Yes.
All right, cool.
And you're fabulous. And shout out to Australia and your crazy football.
They have extra points for just missing.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you try to kick it and it whiffs, or like when you just miss the goal?
Because when I was in Australia, they explained the rules to me. So they have these, what we would call a field goal. And then they have poles outside of the field goal. And if you make it in the field goal, you get so many points. But if you make it between the other two poles, you get half that many points. So if you miss, you still get some points.
You know, in golf, if you whiff it, you get points too.
Yeah,
but it's not
the same. Not the same. All right.
Does the teacher separate us? No.
No, which is
they don't even
bad.
try. They don't even try.
Well, a lot of them don't know us. So, that plays to our advantage.
We try to get them a little like warm-up taste at the guild meeting.
And yeah. A lot of the teachers we take from have no idea who we are. So it's kind of fun.
And then they remember us afterwards.
And then they're like, oh yeah, you two cause problems. We really don't cause problems in the class though.
No.
Because I love taking classes. So
and I've learned mostly to behave myself.
Smarter. I want to be smarter. I always want to be smarter than I was yesterday. That's like a daily goal for me. I want to be smarter than I was yesterday. So, by the time I die, I'll be super smart.
Be the smartest you'll ever be.
I know. That's exactly right.
The oldest I've ever been right now.
Guess I'm going to be smarter than I was yesterday. I've thought that for a long time. I want to use more brain than most people. Anyway.
So, goalpost in Australia.
And then,
6 points a goal and 1 for a behind.
Yes. See? You get points for missing between the two.
You get an A for effort point.
Yeah, that's right.
You tried.
Yeah. I wish I could have gone to see one of the games because I thought it would have been fun, but I didn't get to go.
Okay. So
but I like sports, so
I don't watch a lot of sports.
We'll do.
Given the choice of live sports, my favorite is hockey.
Yay, Predators.
Because it is super fast.
They're playing too. Not tonight, I don't think, but they are. The preseason started.
My husband's favorite
is football.
Baseball.
Baseball for me is a nap.
Okay, I will. So yes, last season I was like, let me just throw him a metaphorical bone and sit here with him. And then I'm like, well, they are well built, these baseball players. Maybe I'll watch more. That lasted like half a game.
All right. Well, let's talk about books. We're supposed to
modern quilt books.
Modern quilt books.
So Lynn sent me her list and I was like, heck, the 3 I had are already in there. So I didn't bring nothing. But I'm going to talk about her books.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first one on the list.
Smallest.
In the smallest.
Are we going smallest to largest?
It's just how it was stacked.
Okay.
Do you have a better order?
No.
All right.
So 500 quilt blocks. So the links to all of these, which are Amazon affiliate links, doesn't cost you anything to click, helps us a little bit.
Yes.
Are all in the show notes for this episode if you guys want to go take a sneak peek. This one I found, so I have this book. I love the variety of eye candy. I find it frustrating to try and make the block from it because the directions
are minimal. Yeah.
It is like not a beginner's book.
No. You really kind of have to know what you're doing. I mean, and some of the blocks that they have are extremely basic. Like Shoe Fly has been around for a couple hundred years. And then you've got, I think this is what, Tumblr?
Yeah, that's Tumblr.
Yeah. So like some of these, which is a 1-patch block. So some of these have been around for hundreds of years. So, and some of them aren't, you know,
like an hourglass.
An hourglass, which is really quarter square triangle. So if you know how to make that, you're good. But if you're a beginner, you know, it's not your friend.
It just tells you the materials you need, and then like a whole lot of abbreviations.
Oh, yeah.
It's like trying to read a crochet instruction.
Oh, yeah,
if you don't know how to crochet.
Right.
So
and usually quilt books aren't written like that. So I thought it was okay. Like, and some of them are really basic kind of blocks, like Ohio Star.
This publisher is not a traditional quilt publisher, though. So
true.
If you look them up, you will see they have like 500 crochet blocks and 500 knit blocks.
So they're
like a 500 of whatever kind of craft. Right. They're not necessarily quilt driven.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you
I think they just went through Barbara Brackman's book and just took.
Could be.
Yeah, like, you know, blocks out of there, because these are a lot of really basic blocks that you would find on. You know, and maybe not everybody has EQ, but every one of these I think you could find on EQ.
So what makes you think this is modern then, aside from just blocks? Why'd you pull it for the modern one?
You know, I thought it was more modern, I think, than when I looked at it. So sorry.
Pull it off the list.
It should not be modern. Out. It is just blocks.
It's just blocks. More helpful if you are inexperienced quilter.
Yes, I would say that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't like that book. For beginners. If you want a reference book, I guess it's okay, but it's limited to the size. Like, it didn't give you variety of sizes or anything.
I got my copy as a gift.
Why did I get that?
From a non-quilter.
I got mine as a gift from a non-quilter.
Like, you like blocks?
That was it. That's why I have it. Because I didn't buy that. Like, it wouldn't have been something I bought. This was also a gift.
We got the same gift.
You got the same color?
Yes, we both got green. And we got this when we attended SoPro a couple years ago in Chicago. And it's a Vanessa Christensen book. And it's basically like color inspiration.
And she's literally had an orange, a red, a green, a yellow, a purple, a blue.
Like, I'm sorry, this green is fairly limited. But, you know.
And it's more project than necessarily.
Yeah. So, like, that's cute.
Quilts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all. It is not all quilts. It is project focused. But it's like, oh, if your favorite color is green or orange or whatever.
Yeah, if you've got. So it's a series of books that came out, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Let me find a good picture of this one. Because this was my favorite quilt in there. It's called Into the Woods.
And it's trees.
It's just little trees.
I like that one.
Yeah, that one's cute. So, again, more eye candy.
Yeah.
I mean, her instructions in here are decent. I haven't made anything from it, so I haven't tested it. Well, that's bananas.
I've looked at it, but I haven't done anything from it either.
So it's
it was a gift, so it's not something I bought. I purchased.
Right. This is more if you have friends that have a particular favorite color. Orange.
Exactly. And I didn't get an orange one. I got the green one.
I almost bought you the orange one, and then I thought you had already gotten it. So.
It was one of those things. They gave us a gift bag, and we each got the book in the gift bag, and so you got what you got. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah,
so
green must not have been a popular color, and they had a bunch left over and thought, we'll just give it to these ladies.
Yes. So all these people will have green.
We have comment about your New York beauty blocks.
Again, if you are, I'm telling you, if you don't know who Karen Stone is, go out, just type in her name, look, Karen Stone Quilts, Karen K. Stone Quilts. And all her quilts are eye candy, incredible. And that's what I took. I took how to do a New York beauty block, and it was a 2-day class. It's paper piecing. I had never done a New York beauty block, which I know, crazy. I have not done one. Huh. And I'd always been a fan of Karen Stone, and she has some really interesting techniques with paper piecing, which I love because it's more my jam than like maybe some other techniques I know about paper piecing. And wow, just great teacher, great. I can't wait till tomorrow because we got another class with her.
Okay. Someone asked for good book recommendations.
Yes.
Kabam.
This is a great book.
Material Obsession.
I bought this book. And I'm glad I own it.
On sale.
I got it on sale for $20. It's a great book.
Let me find. There's
Some
one in here that I
beautiful
super
quilts
loved.
in it. Great eye candy in it. And I think that it has a good beginner to, I would say, intermediate. I don't know that there's anything way too advanced in there.
There's like some super skinny stuff, but it's not insurmountable.
No, it's not. And I think it's just a great.
There's like some quirky applique.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of fun stuff in
And
here.
this one came out probably, again, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while. But love this book. You know what? Why I think this book was so attractive, I think, when I bought it, is because it did use traditional blocks, but it used fresh fabric and new, it was kind of more modern fabrics. Again,
beginner friendly.
It's
squares.
It's squares, and which was very modern when modern movement first started. So
that's why my podcast was named that, because I was like, I don't need no fancy triangles.
I can just make squares all
do
day
some
long.
Squares, and she's got a great section at the back. Like this whole thing is about basics. So if you need a little primer on like what kind of parts of the quilt are there, what is batting or wadding, what is what kind of equipment do I need? So she's got some good beginner stuff back there too.
So great book. I like it.
And it's Sarah Filkey, who we've talked about before on the show, and Kathy Doty.
Yep.
With a forward by Kay Fassett.
Yes, which I think some of the color combinations, for me, that was some of the eye candy in this. I kind of like the color combinations. Just that they looked at fabric differently.
I will say one thing about this book. When you look at the applique designs, when you look at some of the block sketches, they're hand-drawn.
Yeah.
Which gives it a real charm that you don't necessarily get from some of the traditionally published quilt books.
Right.
Where it's a little more mechanical. They got a factory churning out quilt diagrams.
Yeah.
And there's a material obsessions too, according to Amy.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Oh, Christmas is coming.
Amy, thanks for letting us know. I don't have that one. But anyway, I love this book. We didn't like the first two, but definitely
the first two are okay.
They're okay.
They have their place.
They're not. Yeah. Do you want to talk about these two?
Or
this one?
Do that one.
This one?
Yeah, you talk about that one.
Okay.
I've seen it, but I don't own it.
So this came out again probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
2012, I think.
Yeah. And it is traditional quilt blocks.
Vintage Quilt Revival.
Vintage Quilt Revival. But what they did is they just kind of added modern fabrics to it and kind of did some of a modern interpretation. There's some wonky piecing in here. There's some a little bit more complicated. I would say that this is more intermediate and a couple of advanced in this one. Gosh, the eye candy's great. I love the take on the modern just aesthetic of color and a lot of solid use.
A lot of very clear bright colors.
A lot of edge. And just, share that one. Like, delightful. And what this one did is I think well is it took 20 classic blocks essentially, which is I think you saw we talked about sampler quilts and stuff like that. And this takes kind of that sampler from a modern perspective.
Yeah. So there's one layout with all 20, and then there's individually, what if you just did all this one block? What would it look like? Exactly.
And I love the color combination. I love the fresh approach to some, traditional blocks. But definitely one
and this
of my
one's
favorite.
From Interweave Press.
I like that.
It's got 3 authors.
And it's a nice book. It's got beautiful pages. It's a nice pages feel nice.
And
it's just
there's some little
the pictures are gorgeous in there. Good eye candy.
Some project stuff.
There's a couple of projects, in there.
Oh, there's a CD.
Oh yeah, for some
which is the printable templates.
Yes, templates.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. Love that book. Okay. I like that one too. All right.
Okay.
You want to talk about
let's do those.
These?
I can talk about the first one. You can talk about the second one.
Okay, this one?
probably, because I own this one.
Okay.
So this is a class that we took from Bill Kerr, famously, who looked at my fabrics and said, "Gosh, that's cheerful."
Cheerful, yeah.
Thus was born the aggressively cheerful color scheme, which I have since embraced. But the idea here is it is color selection and placement to get the effect of transparency. That if you overlap one fabric with another fabric, you get this third fabric.
Right. One of the best color classes I've ever taken.
Oh, yeah. So here is a good example of, like, you know, yellow and blue make green. Those of us in the U.S. that watch Ziploc commercials in the 80s and 90s will remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
We did.
This is what we did.
Yeah. This is the pattern that we did in class. This one. That just looks like kind of a fun plaid.
Let's be honest. Pam did it in class. Pam did actually finished it.
An aggressively cheerful version.
And I don't know where mine is, and I didn't finish it, I'm sure.
Alas.
But we're not shocked about that either. Honestly.
And I will say, this is a good book.
It is a good book. And that's actually the handout from the class. Yes.
Also, they do a calendar every year. And I bought the one for this year. And in the calendar, not only is it like 12 months of eye candy, but you get instructions for all the quilts in the calendar.
Do you really?
You do.
And let me just say, Bill Kerr, Weeks Ringel are some of the nicest people in the quilt industry. Lovely, lovely people. Amazing amount of knowledge and information. Oh my gosh, if you get a chance to take a class from him. It was one of the best 2 days. Mm-hmm. I took the class that we took together, and then I begged them, the guild, to let me go back and monitor the other class he taught. Because he was so good. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
So we got a question actually about Vintage Quilt Revival, if it was the same authors as Sunday Morning Quilts. It is not. Sunday Morning Quilts is Amanda Jean Nyberg, and the other one escapes my name, but this is a different set of authors. Katie Clark, Blakesley, Lee Heinrich, and Faith Jones.
I love Sunday Morning Quilts. That is a great book. I don't own it.
I own it, but I didn't bring it because we already talked about it when we were doing scrap quilts.
Right. It's a great book.
But it's a modern scrap quilt.
Yeah, it is a modern scrap book, but a great, great, great book.
Okay.
All right. So this is another book from Bill and Weeks. And what this is, and I love this concept, and I don't know if you all realize this or not, but anytime you want to change a block and keep the same dimensions, all you have to do is cut it in half or cut a line on it, and you add a 1-inch strip, and with your seam allowance, it will end up the same dimensions. Mind blown. Seriously. I mean, I know that you probably know that, but you can do some really cool stuff by just adding an inch of fabric to any block and get really interesting, you know, wonky, unique piecing with just inch strips. Love this. So anyway, we didn't take this class, but just that whole concept of being able to add an inch strip and just get a really just fascinating effects.
Oh, that's one of the ones in the calendar.
Oh, there you go. Well, there.
I got that pattern.
I do too. Because I have this book. But I want to buy that pattern next year.
Well, they just opened up pre-orders.
Okay, cool.
And they tend to sell out pretty quick.
All right.
So buy it for yourself for Christmas.
I will. That sounds good. But anyway, I liked the concept. I liked the idea. I thought it was an interesting thought process. But that's essentially what it is. It's showing you different ways to cut a block of fabric up. And if it's a 12-inch finished block, if you cut a straight line in it, add a 1-inch strip in that, because of how the seam allowances work, it will still end up being 12-inch finished. There you go.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. But they have, by the way, we have 2 of their books. They have a ton of books. And I think they put out a news, like
quarterly-ish.
Yeah, quarterly-ish newsletter kind of stuff that has books or patterns in it.
I think it's got like 6 to 8 patterns in
Yeah.
each of those.
Yeah, I don't belong. And you can sign up, I think, and belong to their subscription basis, and they will send it to you. I don't know how much that is. I don't actually do it, but there's only so many subscription stuff you can belong to. But I love their stuff. So, and nice, super nice people, which makes it even better. You know,
yay, nice people.
Yay, nice people. We like working with nice people. That helps, you know. So, you want to talk about these 2?
I don't know any of those. We've talked about all the ones that I own.
Oh,
I like this one. Was this the one that had the controversy?
Yes, you can talk about that.
Okay, so if you love
I don't
color,
remember if it was this one or this one.
Scrap Republic. I think it was this book.
I do too.
So this is by Emily Sear, and she is a modern quilter. It's a gorgeous book. It's got a ton of really color-rich blocks, which are super fun to look at.
Yes.
The controversy I refer to, I believe in here there is a picture of one of the quilts was printed onto a tote bag by the publisher, because particularly C&T is really good about working with their authors and extending the life of the content into other mediums. So like Leah Day just signed with them to produce her 365 free motion quilting designs as a calendar. So they look to kind of add longer life to the items. So they had taken a picture of one of the quilts, printed it on a tote bag. It contained fabric from a manufacturer, or from a designer, excuse me, that also designed and licensed her designs for tote bags. And so when the tote bag with the picture of the quilt with the fabric on it hit the market, they were issued a cease and desist letter by the designer.
Yep, it was a big deal.
Because it was considered infringement that they had not licensed, you know. And so then it kind of raises whole issue of like, well, what fabrics do you use in quilt books? And especially like it's a scrappy book. Do you have to cite like every stinking tiny piece of fabric?
And do you remember?
Yeah.
Like I've got fabrics I put in a quilt and I can't tell you what they're from. They've been in my stash for years. So yeah.
Now that being said, it's still a gorgeous book.
Oh, it's
like,
a gorgeous
look at that
book.
Look at that gorgeousness.
It's Now this is her other one, Quilt Remix. And this one, I think
it's a little subtler, the color schemes anyway.
Well, I think what this one does is I think what this book does well is it takes traditional quilt blocks or traditional quilt design element and kind of makes them bigger or enlarges them in ways, plays with the scale, uses them in different ways. Then I think you've like seen as much, like for example, that is her log cabin quilt.
It's just one giant log cabin block,
right? So which really, you know, in other places would be called Trip Around the World,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I could see where she could have called that Trip Around the World and it would have been made, it would have made sense, because Trip Around the World is the same pattern or the same fabric around. You guys look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, because I think of the Trip Around the World is made with squares, not with that. I'm thinking of like the Bonnie Hunter scrap pattern.
No, you're right. It's normally Trip Around the World. But if you're reinterpreting Trip Around the World, that could fall in that, because they use the same color.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? I was thinking about color. This is our Pinwheel Interpretation, which I think this was really popular for a while. I remember a bunch of people doing that. And I liked that one. I liked the red one. Her Ohio Star. So it's just a corner of the Ohio Star kind of thing. So it's really her interpretation. Oh, here's her Trip Around the World. See?
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
I like how she did her chart.
Yeah, the chart's nice. She did an interpretation of Dresden Plate. So she really was playing with traditional quilt blocks and just reinterpreting them for a modern aesthetic, really is what it is. Flying geese.
That might have been a crow.
I think it was.
I am not an ornithologist.
Geese kind of honk. Yeah. That's more a goose.
I'm much better at chicken noises.
My dad was a hunter, so he had goose calls. I have one upstairs. I don't know how to. I don't know how to make it work.
I have a weird thing that looks like a duck bill that the kids got at Six Flags.
No, I have a duck call and a goose call that were my dad's. So, and he's no longer with us, so it's nice to have this. This one is this is the last book I have, and this is Modern Blocks. 99 quilt blocks from your favorite designers. I didn't know they were my favorite. Really? I didn't know they were my favorite designers, but apparently here's the list of who my favorite designers are.
Cheryl Arkinson, that was the other one besides Amanda Jean Nyberg.
Yeah. So these are just quilt blocks. And I bought it.
No particular setting instructions?
No.
Oh, I love a Union Jack.
There you go. The Union Jack.
Like a fun Union Jack.
With a fun Union Jack. So just a variety of quilt blocks. That's it. There's no
setting, no nothing.
No, but I have that fabric with the owls.
Just like carry on making some blocks.
Making some blocks. That's all it is. So interesting. Just if you want to look at just blocks.
And good instructions as opposed to some of the earlier books we talked about.
Much better instructions. But again, just a block.
Yes.
So, and it's got some applique in here, and it does have some more complicated, like advanced block. If you're an appliquer, that would be advanced. From Susan Brubaker Knapp, who I've taken a class from, and she's lovely.
Also kind of crazy, according to that blog.
She is kind of crazy, yes. Like real live and in person, too. But fun.
Okay, so we're finishing up this last book. If you guys have some, throw them out here in the comments, in the chat.
Crisscross triangles?
Crisscross triangles?
What? Yeah, so some of these are super simple, though.
Now, do you think of yourself as a person who makes modern quilts?
I don't know. I've gotten some awards for modern quilts. I have a couple of quilts that have gotten ribbons because they were modern. But I don't know that they would compete. That was our local quilt show is nothing to sneeze at. It's
like 200 quilts.
It's hard, 300.
350?
Yeah, 350 quilts. It's hard to get an award. But I don't, they're modern, but I don't know that they're, I don't know. I would say, truth be told, if I had to identify myself as what type of quilter I was, 9 times out of 10, I would tell you art quilter.
I would say modern traditionalist.
For me?
For me.
Oh, I was like,
I moved on from you. Bye.
Yes, no, I would say that's very true with you. Modern traditionalist. Leaning towards modern. Your designs, her designs are modern. You look at Islands in the Stream. You look at, you need a bigger bolt. You look at some of the other ones you've done.
That you can't remember?
Some of them I don't want to say because they're not released.
We could talk about. We could sneak peek some stuff.
You want to sneak peek?
I want to sneak peek some stuff.
Oh my gosh!
No, these might not be sneak peeky. Nope, that was not mine. So, we talked about the little pink houses.
See, I think that's
which was hung up behind us the last couple shows. That's like a modern log cabin.
Yeah. See, that's not.
Julie, I refuse. Julie said I should accept that I am modern.
Yeah, I think you should too. Yes,
I think I could be a modern quilter, but I don't necessarily have to make modern quilts because I still turn out some other stuff.
Yeah, you totally turn out other stuff, just like I turn out traditional stuff. But if you talk about where's my go-to, what I enjoy doing the most, I mean, you have to admit my quilting does not lend itself to modern. because there's no
flexibility.
No, it's just modern quilts aren't quilted to death like mine.
Some of them are.
That's only changed in the last couple of years. But for the longest time, they didn't have me because I quilt to death. Yeah. I don't walking foot any. Contemporary. There you go. You're contemporary.
That to me. So the word contemporary to me reminds me of contemporary art, which to me is a very 80s thing. It's like the stark white with like the one red square, and I don't understand it. Like
blue panel.
Yeah, no.
I remember going to the art museum in New York and seeing blue panel and thought, wow, there you go.
I just remember from a lot of like 80s workplace comedies of like how to succeed in business
without really trying.
Like a lot of Michael J. Fox movies and like things set in New York City with like really funky paintings in the building. And then I look at where I work now and I'm like, you could use some modern art up in here.
I think if I had to choose, I would say I am a art quilter first and foremost.
Yes.
Blending into but I have done every style out there.
Yes.
I have. There are very few techniques I haven't tried. But I've been doing this a long time too. So, and I'm the kind of person of there's something new, I should learn how to do that in quilting. So
there's a book out from the Modern Quilt Guild called Modern Quilt Designs of the New Century.
Well, I love Bill Kerr's definition because when he was here and he gave his lecture about modern, he kind of said it's what we are currently doing today that is modern. Because when you look back and you say, if you look back at chairs, his example was chairs. And if you look back at a chair that was made in 1880, it was modern for the time. If you look back and then compare it to what they were doing in the mid-century, 1950s, that was modern for the time. So his argument was whatever we are creating today is modern. Now, that's not the definition that the Modern Quilt Guild has, but that was his. And I thought that kind of had an interesting argument. Like whatever we are creating today is the modern work. It's the work that we are doing. I think it's I think it's an interesting argument. Kind of agree with him. She's like, I don't know.
No, it's a very classic dictionary definition. And that's what the word modern means. Of the time.
Of the time.
Of the current time.
Of the current time.
Do you want to sneak peek this?
Sure. This is out. People can... We haven't hung it behind us. Yeah, we haven't showed it to people.
So it's on our website, but it's kind of like under sneaky release. But it's I claim it's a table runner.
It's a wall hanging.
She says it's a wall hanging.
So it's a Christmas pattern. A friend of ours who owns a quilt store. Yeah, it's traditional, but an applique. So a friend of ours who owns a quilt store gave me a charm pack and said, can you come up with something that we can have in the store to advertise? This was in July to advertise our,
Christmas and
Christmas, stuff coming out. They never did it, but but I wrote a pattern for them. So I did a cute little wall hanging, and it's kind of a 50s.
Yeah, it's like vintage.
It's vintage, not modern.
Kitschy,
it's
vintage.
Kitschy. But the charm pack that she gave me is Moda's Swell Christmas, which is kind of that vintage 50s kitsch.
Yeah.
Santa Claus and trees and candy canes and
yes.
I think there's some holly leaves on some of the prints. Very cute. I liked it. And, cherry red and Pepto Bismol pink.
Woo, girl.
And, the really springy green.
Yeah.
And so I just came up with a block and then did some applique with a kitsch kind of. I went to Pinterest and found a kitschy looking font and, and then drew some ornaments and trees and said, that's fun. But honestly, for those of you who follow us, you'll know I went to Utah and was filmed. This is the pattern I was filmed talking about, and I actually did a different technique with it.
In the center.
In the center, not applique. So you'll have to follow that. I think we're going to have some videos of my tour of the Handy Quilter facility factory. Cool place. Way cool place.
I got to crack the whip. So my son is getting into video editing.
Yeah.
And so we have been subcontracting to him some of our shorter videos that drop on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
He edited the series that's out of Lynn's comic book quilt.
Right.
He'll have edited these as well, but they're dropping closer to when the episode released. It'll be November before those go up.
They gave us the dates, and it's like November 21st and 28th, or something like that. It's in November.
Yeah, I'm overdue on getting blog posts up about our new patterns. Typically, I do that, and it's just been bananas at my day job. So I have one day off coming up.
Yeah. So
and a lot of airplane rides. So I'm hoping I can work on some of that.
So this is on our website. You can go out and get it. And so's Little Pink Houses. It's on the website. You can go out and get that. I think it's a wall hanging. She swears it's a table runner. Honestly, it could be either one.
But I love a pattern that looks good and uses a charm pack, because everyone loves charm packs, and you're like, what do I do with this?
It uses a charm pack and solids. That's it. Yeah. And so find a cool Christmas charm pack, and I think there's three. I think there's 3 solids and then some background fabric.
Yeah. Okay. There's an interesting discussion going on.
Okay.
In the chat.
Let's see.
Well, about
what can we add to this interesting discussion?
About labels.
Oh.
And when you're labeling something, you're by nature excluding something else.
That's true. I think that's true.
As Amy said, contemporary means of the time. So that's an accurate definition. But the implication that Teresa calls out, where there's a little bit of snobbery over what kind of quilts people make, and that there's a little bit of disdain, and, traditional quilters are like, oh, it's a modern quilt, and vice versa.
You know what? My most requested lecture is the modern quilt lecture.
Yeah.
2 traditional guilds, because they're like, we don't know what this is.
We don't get it.
We don't get it.
And then it's like, no, it's just.
And I honestly.
Quilts made.
I would love to come lecture wherever you all are. But honestly, I think my biggest point is that it's not necessarily the style of quilt as much as the generation of quilter that's doing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but invite me and I'll come talk about it. There it is. I will. Ta-da. So, yeah, I kind of do too. And I hate it when people say, well, what kind of quilter are you? And I've gone back and forth kind of in my own definition of self, of am I a fiber artist? Am I a quilter? If you say fiber artist, nobody gets that. Like, I quit that a long time ago.
Figure you're making felted cat faces on the internet.
Yeah, like they have no idea what that means. Because I truly believe that every quilt's a piece of artwork. So, and I'm saying traditional, modern, applique. I think every quilt we make is a piece of artwork. So I kind of have that view of, I think it's America's best. I think it's America's original art form, quilting.
But also awesome from other parts of the world.
Well, yeah, but we did more. This culture did more with it than the rest of the world did with it. I think it's our art form. And I just think every quilt we do is a piece of art.
I went through an identity crisis of sorts a few years ago. Like, what kind of quilter am I? My quilts don't have a look. And then I realized I was making so many quilts to give away. It didn't matter, because it's not like all the quilts I'd ever made are going to come back together in one place. Like all the weird, the donation quilts and the baby quilts I've given, like they're never going to come back together and someone be like, that's not a cohesive narrative story. Like,
well, now that we have patterns, though, I think you do have a voice. I think it's more clear. I think my
voice is get her done.
That's true. She has spreadsheets. That's what happens. I think my voice is all over, and it's influenced by who I've taken a class from, lately or whatever.
Shout out from Alaska.
Yay! Oh, I love Alaska. That was one of my favorite trips. My favorite thing I've ever done.
So glad you commemorated it by not making a t-shirt quilt.
Yeah, exactly.
I super duper loved posting that picture. Like,
My husband,
there's a guy that takes all the dorky screenshots of us.
and he looked dorky at it. It was great. Yes. And I showed him that picture when you said about the Alaska thing, and he laughed. He thought it was funny. So.
I did. The first person that commented, and I don't know if it was intentional. My hope is it was. Their comment was, "You went to Alaska," which is just like the story you wrote about your postcard quilt.
Yeah,
You went to Hawaii.
I went to Alaska. There you go. And we're done. You know, that quilt got rejected because I didn't have a good story. It was sad.
My quilt won the whole shebang.
It did.
Because the title is a story.
Chops.
The title is a story.
This title is the longest title.
Feeling clammy at the Irish Disco. Needed like a special third line at the AQS show.
Yes.
I get to go see it hanging.
I know. I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited. I get to like meet Kathy. I don't think she's on here tonight. She might be watching the replay, but I'm going to meet Kathy in Virginia Beach at the AQS show.
Yes. Like that.
Maybe my mom.
Maybe my mom will show up. That'd be great.
You might. I'm going to be there all day. I'm taking a class Saturday morning on using stencils on a long arm because, you know, I've long arm before and I feel like it's a transferable skill for my mid arm. Sit down.
I agree.
And I'm doing a meetup at like 1:30. So I figure it'll give me a couple hours to like get a bite to eat, see some stuff,
now,
do some shopping.
We need to plan this because we're going to have a meetup in Houston. So everybody knows that.
It's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar. It's out there.
Friday.
But I do think we need to have a meetup at QuiltCon.
Yes.
So we'll plan when that is, but it's not Sunday morning because we're taking a class.
True. I'm going to worry about organizing that meetup after we get through market.
Yes. So just so you know that if you're coming to QuiltCon in Nashville, we will be there also. We didn't get a booth because they were too full.
Yeah.
So,
but that did free us up to just lollygag and do whatever we want.
Now we can do whatever we want. So we're taking a class. I wasn't going to take a class, but now I'm like, well, heck, I can take a class.
I'm going to take a class with you.
I know.
And then we're going to drive home.
And then we're going to drive home. Yeah, because it's Sunday morning.
Yep.
So we'll go take the class. And
yeah. So our meetup will probably be on Saturday of QuiltCon.
Yes.
Just a guess.
Because we're probably going to drive in Friday.
Yeah. We'll drive in Friday morning so we can do whatever.
So that'll be good.
See the sights.
Yeah. Yep. Apparently we need to go see, what was the
giant sewing needle?
The giant sewing needle.
At the bus stop?
At the bus stop. We're going to take a picture of us at a giant sewing needle.
And we might be bringing some friends from the ATL.
From the ATL. So what else do they have? What else do we have?
You could celebrate going to Alaska by not making a t-shirt quilt.
I am. That's good. Thanks, Judy. That's exactly what I'll do.
No, you've done the not making the t-shirt quilt. She's saying the not making the t-shirt quilt, aka making the t-shirt quilt.
I'm not going to make it. No, I was okay. So we have the North Georgia Fair, going on right now. So I was down at the fair selling tickets for our guild's raffle quilt for 3 nights. I took the late shift, so we sold tickets from 7 to 11 one night.
Ooh.
Yeah, so 10 or 11.
Ain't nothing that needs to happen at the fair after 10, girl. That's when funnel cakes go bad. You don't know where you're finding powdered sugar the next morning.
The best thing at the fair was pork chop on a stick. It was awesome.
You didn't have the fried butter?
No. There was fried butter?
Yeah, there's fried butter. They'll fry the hell out of anything. It's an H word. They'll fry anything at a Georgia State Fair, y'all.
No,
fried Oreos, fried butter.
I didn't have fried Oreos.
Fried cheesecake.
I didn't have fried cheesecake. Yeah. I had a pork chop on a stick, which is very keto.
I miss going to the Ren Fest, if only for the giant turkey leg.
They did have giant turkey legs.
I know. See,
I was going someplace with this story, and now I don't know why.
Well, I do want to thank Teresa for saying that my cat pictures brighten her week.
Aw.
I had a very adorable one of me and Nina on the couch.
Oh, she wants more dog pictures.
Yeah, Lynn.
Oh,
I mean, I could post some of Fred, too. You know?
Yes, that's what I say, Fred. Pam is so much better at posting pictures than I am.
I just think my cats are adorable and that everyone else should appreciate it.
Oh, I did a whole photo session with Josie, but I didn't.
Well, let me tell you something funny.
We'll have to get back to you, Amy. There is a giant sewing needle. Apparently, they did
it's near a bridge.
Yeah. In Nashville, and there's a couple of sewing elements in this area because it was a new construction that bridged 2 areas together. So it was like mending or something like that.
We got to.
It was Nashville's thing.
Ray dropped a pin on her Google Maps, and she's got to pull it up and send us the GPS coordinates.
Right. So we'll let you know.
So fun story. We've been on like a hiring spree at work because we lost so many people with a change in policy of everyone having to go to one of our 3 cities where the offices are and then go into the office more days a week, which is a change for me. Fortunately, I lived in one of the cities that was assigned, and I was like, well, I'm not moving, so I hope you let me go to this one.
That's good.
So we lost a bunch of people. And so my particular team, we just kind of like finally hired in and fleshed out the rest of the team, which is awesome because now I can spread out the workload. But we hired a woman in Austin, Texas, whose sole job is like just to help me get stuff done.
Oh, right. You told me this.
It was like amazing. And so when someone new starts in the company, it's kind of the director's job to like send out an email saying like, welcome, so-and-so, blah, 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 you know. And it's always like a serious work-related blurb about what they're going to be doing, who they're working with, responsibilities. And then there's like a rando personal statement. And so I knew the woman we hired had a cat. And I knew because one of mine like popped on camera one time. She's like, oh, I have a cat too. So I knew. But her like personal blurb, totally volunteers at a cat shelter, helps adoptions, like all the stuff that I have done with Good Muse. And so immediately like the email comes out and I'm like, oh my gosh, we gotta show my cats. I've done this and this and this and this and this. And what about you? Do you do this? How about this? Do you love fosters? I love fosters. I got friends with fosters. I get all kinds of kittens. It was just like a big kitten fest, basically.
You had a kitten fest.
And then the last person that starts next week, who I've known for like 5 years, like his personal blurb, I had to Google it. I was like, I don't even know what this is. Reggaeton music. It is a very specific, like, Puerto Rican hip hop style. And I was like, I would never have guessed that.
I watched this thing on Netflix about K-pop.
What's that? Oh, you're talking about the
Korean pop.
Okay.
And it's extremely popular. And it was really interesting. It was on Explained on Netflix. It's a real interesting kind of 30-minute quick on different topics. Again, I like to be smarter than I was yesterday.
I was thinking K-Tel because I think there's a documentary coming out. Someone's working on a documentary about K-Tel Records. And then also...
But this is K-pop.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's connected.
Now, I will say there's another podcaster that since pod faded, Crafty Garden Mom, and she was talking about her love of Korean soap operas.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Apparently they're amazing.
Okay.
Well, like if you take a Latina soap opera,
which is...
But amp up the crazy.
I don't know anything. I've just heard that they're pretty...
That's the Korean
crazy.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty crazy. And yeah, of course you have to... for those of us that don't speak Korean, have to watch it with subtitles.
Which...
It's hard to do when you're sewing.
It's hard to do when you're sewing, yes. But I like movies that are subtitled. I mean, I'll watch them.
We have several people...
I remember going to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
And having to watch with the subtitles.
And I knew it was subtitled.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
So I knew it was going to be subtitled, and I watched the movie. But like the first 5 minutes, there were people that stood up and walked out. I was like, they had no idea the whole movie
now,
was going to be
I will
subtitled.
say, it was...
And I think it was that one.
Might have been Godsford Park. It was a British movie that really... It came out before Downton
Abbey. That was like
Abbey.
Russian, right? It was Russian.
No, this is I'm thinking it's a British
Park.
movie, but it was about kind of the dichotomy of the servants and the upper class that they were serving.
That's really old.
But the entire first 5 minutes were like just very fast talking with
a heavy English dialect.
Heavy English accent for the rest of us say. Dialect, accent, whatever.
Dialect.
But because it was so condensed that it was just hard to understand. Like, I don't even think I'm listening to English.
Are you speaking
And it was
English?
an intentional way to introduce you to this world that you were like, so fast paced, what's happening?
But don't you think that was Shakespeare? Like when you go see Shakespearean play, maybe I'm the only one, but when I go see Shakespeare, it's like the first few minutes of Shakespeare.
To the cadence and the rhythm.
Once you get into cadence, it's easy, but it's that first few minutes that you just kind of have to get by.
So Teresa, Upstairs Downstairs was a TV show. This was specifically a movie, but I can't remember the name of it. Now, we do have a question.
Is EQ8 that much better than EQ7? There's some stuff I hate with EQ8.
The layout is different. The functionality is the same.
Functionality is the same, but I hate the way they show the fabrics.
I have never yet gotten imported fabric images to look what I think is the correct way in EQ8, which is unfortunate.
There's some stuff in it I don't like. And I don't think I gain more functionality to trade off some of the layout stuff that I liked in EQ7.
What I really wish it would get better at is non-traditional layouts.
Yes, that's horrible in both versions.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, just do it in something else. AI or something. If I could figure out how to read and sew at the same time, my life would be perfect. Audiobooks.
Even from the library. So our library system does a ton of like CDs. Ours even has online listening library.
I belong to audible.com and just
well, that's a paid one.
Well, but and it's a paid one too, but Kindle Unlimited, you can get audiobooks too. So I listen to audiobooks almost every day.
Yeah. Check your library, especially if you're in the US, because a lot of it's cheaper for them to get the rights for digital copies of the books. They don't have to invest in the real estate to house them. Or even the used bookstore near us does used audiobooks. So you just like, it's not books on tape anymore, but you can go like get the CDs at a discounted price, which is good if it's something if it's like one of your favorite books, you want to listen to it over and over, like Me and the Martian or Me and Ready Player One.
Ready Player One was good.
Or Me and Old Man's War.
I didn't listen to The Martian, but I listened to Ready Player One. It was good. It was very good. It was better than the movie, I thought. I liked the movie, but I thought the book was better.
Oh, I enjoyed the book The Martian much better than the movie. The movies
I didn't listen to The Martian. I'm talking Ready Player One.
Oh, yeah. They're each good for their own thing. And my perspective on, they didn't follow it exactly is true, but it's more of the same thing that I already love. So now I have more and different and twice as much content.
Yeah, well, I'm the same with Outlander. I loved all the Outlander. I love the reader who read Outlander.
Well,
I was kind of wishy-washy on Game of Thrones books, so.
Winter's coming.
Winter's coming. And soon, apparently.
Yeah. Well, we got like 2 minutes left.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I was like, we don't have enough books. Boom, we're done talking.
Still
talking. Oh, you're bringing that thing with you tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Should I bring my clamp-on thing tomorrow? We need ironing surfaces for our class tomorrow.
I was gonna bring one of our wool mats.
Fancy.
Yeah. So there it is.
Teresa, it's perfectly fine.
I hate Game of Thrones. Don't sew me. I loved it. But if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, you won't hear us condemn you for that. That's for sure. If you don't like it, it's not your thing. There are certain things. For me. You know what? There are certain things I can't stand that I think other people are shocked. Like, I think Titanic was the worst movie ever made. And a lot of people would disagree with that. Garrett super duper loves it because he loves to watch the scene where the boat tilts up and the people start falling and poinging and doinging off like the various ship parts. I'm like, the plot is so bad. If they said, "Do you trust me?" one more time, I'm like, seriously. Anyway, I'm probably the only one. Everybody else loved it. No, my husband did not care for it. But he had fun making fun of it with his 14-year-old nephew. And I don't know why you take a 14-year-old boy to see Titanic, other than like, it is not that movie's audience. And he's like the cool uncle. I don't know. Oh, right. I forgot about that scene. Boobs. Yeah. Anyway. And with that, there you go. Now you know. One of Lynn's top 10 hated movies, Titanic. Okay. There you go. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be back next week with a regular TV show episode. Yes. The next episode of Your Comic Book Quilt drops on Tuesday. All right. I have no idea which one that is. You will be answering pressing questions about how you marked the stuff. Okay. Yes. There you go. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.